Hello, 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 everybody. I'm Karen Trelfa with Stampers Club, and I want to welcome you right now to the very first ever Clue Club. I'm so glad you're here. If this is your first time here, here's how it's worked. Well, it's everybody's first time here. It's a brand new launch of this event. I'm going to give you one clue at a time, and you're going to build your card right along with me in the clues without knowing what we're making. No sneak peeks. No finished sample sitting on my desk. You won't see the card until the very, very end. And honestly, that's my favorite part. Here's the one rule. You don't need my products. When I say add a leaf, you grab whatever leaf you have. When I say add a strip of designer paper, guess what? You get to use what's already on your table. The measurements are the same for everybody. There's no new measurements. Everything's going to be there. Everything is yours. So no matter what the measurements are, they were in your, if you want to know where they were in your email this week, along with the first clue. If you're not on my email list yet, it's in the description. That's why I call it your card, not my card. By the end of today, you'll have made something and it'll look like you, not like a copy of mine. I started stamping almost 20 years ago, knowing almost absolutely nothing. I went to one party, I didn't know a single product name, and I definitely wasn't planning on still being here 2 decades later, but I am. But what I figured out along the way is that I love most is making cards. It's being the person in the room who says, you can do this. Whatever you have is enough. So let's find out what we're making today. Okay, so the first clue, if you remember, was in your email. So that's your first clue there. And of course, I'm not quite sure how many people are going to be live today, but go ahead and give a shout out if you are. That's always fun to do, right? I love hearing from everybody that's here. It's so nice that you get to share and make something together, right? So this is your first clue. It was sent in your email. So you're going to pick all of the colors, the pick cardstock that you want to use, your coordinating colors of designer paper, patterned paper in the designer paper in the Stampin' Up world, patterned paper in the rest of the world. But everything was laid out for you in the directions to cut everything. And then that way you have it all right there, right? Okay, let me check to see if there's any comments happening yet. I don't see any, so that's good so far. Nobody's asking me any questions, but I'm right here in Harson's Island, Michigan, and I would love to know where you're from. Go ahead and drop me a comment and let me know. Okay, so I'm not sure that we are actually live here. I got to double check that. Make sure that everything is definitely going on that should be going on. That's always fun, right? To make sure that everybody's happy. Channels are working like they're supposed to. Let's double check that. Yep, we're live. I like to make sure, right? Just to double check before we start going ahead and talking to people and not knowing what we're doing, right? So this was clue one. Hopefully you have all of that together. I really enjoyed having this here for you, and I'm so excited about this new program. New class every month. It's all about you. Okay, your clue two is to cut a piece of pattern paper at 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and you're going to adhere it to the inside right panel of your card base. So your first clue had the 8 1/4 by 4 1/4, and this you're going to actually score this at 5 1/2. So go ahead and get that scored. I think I forgot to write that down there, didn't I? So you're going to score that at 5 1/2. And then what you're going to end up with is, because this is a little bit shorter of a card, when you fold over that 2 3/4 inch section, you're going to have a little bit of a gatefold happening there. Okay. So now you're going to add that piece of patterned paper to that inside area of your card. The card can be landscape or portrait. Either way works. You'll just lay it out a little bit differently. So you can have the card go open, or you can have the card go open to the left. Either way works Either way will work with these clues. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so this piece of paper is actually going to just layer that background and it's going to peek out when the card is closed. Go ahead and type done in the comments when you're done with this step, and then we can all move a little bit forward, right? I do hope that you're going to have so much fun today so that you will be back in 2 weeks when we do our next one. Okay, clue 3. You're going to cut another piece of patterned paper. Hopefully you made it coordinate with the one that you have on the inside. They could be the same, but it's probably okay if they're not, right? In fact, it probably is better if they're not, because you want to have some contrast going on your card here, right? Because it's all about that focal balance on a card. And you're going to adhere that to the outside of that left panel, or the top panel if you're doing a vertical card. So you're going to put that on the outside so that when your card is closed, you have a pattern paper on the inside and you have a pattern paper on the outside. Okay? And go ahead and type done when you're done with that step. Okay. Well, maybe we don't have too many people here and hopefully, I don't want to go too fast. Hopefully you can certainly keep up here, right? Okay, so clue 4. You're going to take that second piece of cardstock that was 8.5 by 3.5, and you're going to score it at 4.25, which basically is folded in half, right? And then when it's folded, I want to make sure that when you fold it, that your piece of where your piece of paper is your fold is to the right, and the card's going to look like it opens backwards, right? But with your fold on the right, I want you to add a piece of the 4-inch by 3.25-inch designer paper to the front of that. So you're going to have it's going to be like folded like this. I want you to put that designer paper right there on the front of the card. Your fold is off to the right. Okay, so let me know when you're done with that, and then we can move on to the next great clue, right? Okay, so clue 5. Okay, you're going to cut your focal layer from your cardstock. So if you have, it's going to be like 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. If you have a label die that fits in that, that would be great. It could be something that you stamped first and then die cut out, so you have a little border, or you can just keep that same just rectangle. That works also. Either of that, whatever you have on hand. You could even do a little banner effect on it if you want to. That all works too. It just, you can have an oval, you can have a label, however you want to play with that. That's going to kind of be your background focal point on your card. Okay, and then you're going to adhere that onto the front of that small card with dimensionals. Okay, there you go. I think I forgot a step. I did. I forgot to tell you on clue 4 that you need to put that whole piece. You can do it now. We only have a couple things on it, onto the inside. So what you're going to have is you're going to have some designer paper back here, right? This is your first gatefold right here. And then this piece that we're working on in clue 5, this piece right here in clue 5, you're going to put that designer paper on here, and then you're going to put this whole thing into the inside of the card. So your gatefold is going to be like that, right? Okay. And then clue 5, this piece of cardstock here, you're going to have right on the front of this. And like I said, if you want to die cut that as a label, that works too. Super easy to do, right? It's very easy to do, right? Okay, so what do we have next? All right, so that's where that goes. That's clue 5. Then we can move on to clue 6. Now you're going to get a 5-inch piece of ribbon, any color that coordinates with your card, right? However you want. And you're going to layer that right over the focal point of the front of here. And you're just going to kind of go horizontal. If 5 inches is a little bit longer than this card, which is exactly what we're looking for. So we want that to kind of like hang off and give it a little bit of texture. Ribbon always adds a lot of texture and warmth to a card. So you know me, I use it all the time, right? Forever do I'm constantly using designer series paper. I mean ribbon to add, and then the dimensionals to add some more depth too. That adds a lot of texture. Okay, so go ahead and type done when you're done with that step. Looks like everybody's ready. Okay, then for clue 7, I want you to stamp your favorite sentiment on some white cardstock. Now, if you want to stamp it and then die cut it with a smaller label than the one that you used before so they layer inside of each other, that's perfect. Or you can just stamp a greeting on a 1/2 inch by 3.5 inch piece of white cardstock and then do my little trick where you just kind of clip the angle on each side because we just want to have a small greeting, right? And then we're going to put that small greeting into the center right here, right over that ribbon that we put down here, right? So you're just going to put that on there and you're going to want to put some dimensionals, right? You could even double stack them if you want to. Doesn't matter. You can play with it. It's your card, right? Okay, so is everybody done with that step? Looks like it. Okay, so then we have clue 8, okay? Now for the fun part. Prepare 2 small embellishment clusters. So little areas. So you can replicate that. You can make them different. They can be any combination of die cut elements, a stamped and die cut image, or layered, a little bit of layered pieces of paper so that you have different patterns. That type of thing works too. But think like leaves, flowers, berries, butterflies. You just want to have it all fit within like a 1 3/4 by 1 3/4 inch area. So you want a small little area, right? Tiny little area with a little bit of an embellishment cluster, right? So it can have a flower with a leaf or 2 leaves. It can have a couple of butterflies and maybe a leaf or 2, whatever you want to do. It's all good, right? And when you have those 2 little clusters assembled, so you can do stuff with dimensionals and just have it ready to attach, however you want to layer that up. All right, is everybody done with that? Oh, it looks like they might be. Okay, so clue 9. Now we're going to get our clusters layered up together. And if you have a small focal layer, a floral center, a berry, a dimensional piece layered on top of it, it's your base greenery or a floral piece to add depth, secure it all together. Get that cluster all assembled and totally made, right? All right, I'm going to give you guys just a few minutes to get that done. And of course, if you're on the replay, we have fast forward and reverse for that, right? It always works wonderful. Okay, so clue 10. All right, so here we go. We're going to adhere your first cluster to the upper left of your focal layer where your ribbon meets it. So you have that greeting that goes across. I want you to add your little cluster up to the upper left-hand corner of that, okay? And then the other cluster to the right-hand lower corner. So you're going to have your greeting with a cluster up on the left and a cluster up on the right. So you're kind of creating a definite focal point of your card. You have that beautiful designer paper in the background, and then we're just going to finish off that nice focal layer, okay? All right, you can place them if in a different spot. If you feel that your card needs to have a little bit of a different look, just kind of get them organized around that greeting so that they're accenting the greeting, right? Perfect, perfect, perfect. Is everybody done? All right, all right. Okay, clue 11. Ooh, I'm whipping out clues faster than I should be there, right? Okay, we're almost there. So I want you to cut a piece of basic white or any large cardstock or any light cardstock color, 4 inches by 3 1/4 inches, okay? And then you're going to adhere that inside your card on that second layer. So it's going to be right here, Okay, so you're going to layer some white or basic beige or vanilla, whichever matches your card the nicest. That's what you're going to put that on the inside. And that is going to be where you're going to do your greeting at. Your little message to somebody. So if you have something that you want to, if you're making a birthday card, you can write happy birthday. If you're making a thank you card, you can add a little thank you message in here. However, whatever you want to put on the inside, that's great. Sometimes I stamp the insides of my cards and sometimes I don't. But I think you already know that, don't you? Okay, and then let's get a little bit of extra decorating. If you've got any like rhinestones or gems, go ahead and add a couple of those to the front of your card, right? Just get a little bit of bling that goes on, or non-shiny bling if that works better for you. Either one works very well. All right, I think we're probably pretty good to move on to clue 12, which is, of course, if we would love to see what you created. So if you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and snap a photo and share it in the comments of today's live. I'll be checking them. Don't forget, I do share those afterwards, right? And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and share your card in the comments of the YouTube channel or the YouTube video if you want to do it that way. Or you can head on over to the community and you can put them up. You can put your samples there too. That's a great place to upload them. Everybody gets to kind of share and do everything, and they might not be on a public channel that way. At least in the community, you can kind of like just know that you're talking to other stamping people, other great card makers. Okay, who's ready for the actual reveal of the card that I created originally and then created clues for you to copy, not copy, but to create along with me, because it's great to have every single one different. All right, here's the reveal. Look at that. Isn't that got some great color combination? This is all from the Fern and Flora Designer Series paper. So I did definitely like mix and match the designer papers from the package. It's great that our paper coordinates within the package, so you get lots and lots of patterns. So on the back, I used a very subtle pattern to give me my little, like my palette layer, right? Then when I added the left side, I went with something that has a little bit more busyness to it, right? But still complements that green. And this one has the Berry Burst in it, which is why I chose the Berry Burst cardstock, because I like to start with my designer paper and then get coordinating cardstock to go with it. And that makes the designing part of it very, very, very easy, right? And then this more subtle hash mark paper is also in there, but that brought in more of my Berry Burst, which is what I was really looking for. And then I did use the Words and Labels stamp and die set, which is definitely a fun one to use for these labels. It's got a few different ones that'll give you these outlines. And I just did, I think I did Blackberry Bliss onto when I stamped it, so it was a little bit darker. That's always really good to use too. Let's see. Then what else did I do? I did leaves. So I used the same die set. The Words and Labels die set has these really fun little leaves that are in there. Now I did color those with a shimmer brush. So I added a little extra bling in addition to my little clear dots here, right? And then these acorns are also part of that die. So if you have a little die set that makes little tiny images like that, it's a great way to create a little cluster. Oh, my phone is ringing. Didn't mean to have that go off in the middle of a video. Sorry about that, guys. So when you have a die set that makes these little smaller assemblies, they are great for making those little clusters to use as little accent pieces. They work great on scrapbook pages too. I love when I can play with little things like that to get those little embellishment clusters on the corner of a photo. Perfect for that too. And then I did use another label within that same Words and Label die set to layer up my layers. Now, I could have certainly done that 1/2 inch piece of paper and die cut or angle cut the edges to give it a little more character and texture. definitely could have done that. Okay. So don't forget to share your cards because I will be featuring your cards on our next session. So don't be shy. This is our first session, so I don't have any to share with you other than mine. So, but I want to make sure that you show me what you made. That way I can share with each I can feature those and really shout out with all of the different types of things that this card layout and those clues helped you make. So that's it. There's your card. I want to see yours. So don't forget to drop your photo in the comments. That, everybody's card is going to look different, every single one. And then when we're back on August 21st, same time, new mystery. I'm going to love seeing you then. Let me get up so I can actually like see you, right? So I'm going to be doing this the first and third Friday of every month at 11 a.m. And then a day or two before the live goes, you'll get that email that gives you all of Clue 1, because you definitely want to have Clue 1 when you get ready and bring all that with you. So if you're not on my email list, don't forget to go on the link that's in the description and get on the email list so that you can get the clues for the next session. And I hope you had a ton of fun here today, because I sure did. And I do hope to see you on August 21st. Bye now.